morning, everyone, and welcome to Stories That Shape the Future, Voices Leading the Gender Equality Movement. On this Thanksgiving Tuesday, we celebrate extraordinary power of grassroots leaders and the remarkable individuals who courageously advance gender equity across Africa. Today is about amplifying their voices and learning from their journeys and reflecting on the transformative impact of community-led leadership. At AFWAG, we believe in the power of grassroots leadership to spark meaningful change. Our network currently spans across 151 organizations across 21 countries on the continent. And I think for me, what inspires me is the courage, the resilience, and the collaborations that the leaders across the network exhibit. I think these leaders across our network envision change, and they're making things happen one community at a time, one day at a time. I'm so inspired. So throughout today's session, we'll hear powerful stories of resilience and transformation. I'm hoping that you'll be inspired. You know, when I spoke to these three individuals that will be on the panel today, I was so inspired and blown away. So as we listen to the stories, I invite you on your role, to just think about what role do you want to play, whether it's sharing this narrative or supporting these grassroots initiatives or championing gender equity in your own spaces. Every action matters. Together, we can build a future rooted in equity and opportunity. We are privileged today, once again, to have three phenomenal panelists. So I've got Agnes Onyekwere, who's the founder and CEO of Project Mend, who will be calling from Nigeria. I've got Joseph Ojuki from the Health and Economic Development Strategy Organization, HEDSO, who will be calling from Kenya. And last but not least, I've got Bernice Bore, who will be calling from Zimbabwe, from Munondida Foundation. Please, let's give it up for these three fantastic individuals. Thank you. So now I'm coming to you, panelists. I'm going to start with you, Agnes, and then I'll come to you, Joseph, and then I'll end with you, Bernice. Could you briefly introduce yourself? I know I've said the name of your organization, but briefly introduce yourself again and share what inspired you to launch your organization. What really inspired you to launch the work you're doing? Starting with you, Agnes.
Thank you so much. I am excited to be here. My name is Agnes Onyekwere. I am the CEO of Project Mend, an initiative geared towards empowering women in low-income communities with vocational skills and tools. Project Mend started in 2021 when I started working as a public school teacher in a low-income community in southwestern Nigeria. When I got in there, I was really excited because I was, trained to come and be that educator that these children in low-income community would never have, right? So I got in there with this naivety, but just, having my first day in school, I realized that, the children were not as excited as I expected them to be. They were just there yawning, probably even sleeping, and, it was one particular day when I was teaching, I noticed two students in my class, females. They were crying profusely, and when I advanced, I went to find out what was going on. They told me that they were having stomach ache, and after a while I realized that stomach ache was because they were hungry and they had not eaten from the night before. And just trying to investigate, I realized that it was not just about them. Most of the children in my classroom were showing up to school hungry from the night before. That was why I was having them come to school and they would just sleep. They would just yawn or just blank out. So my academic objectives were not being achieved. So what I did was, at that point in time, I was just transported to the fact that 16 years ago, my siblings and I dropped out of school because my parents could not, afford to. In fact, we couldn't even feed at that time, talk less of being in school. So for an entire term, my siblings and I stayed at home. So just, having to experience this, I just wasn't seeing Bolu or Sukomi in my class. I was seeing myself 16 years ago. That was why it was hard for me to look the other way. I had to do something. So I reached out to the lady that makes food for the children. I told her, I don't have much. but I'm going to dedicate a portion of my salary to ensure that these children get to eat. At least let my class be, a little agile. But over time, I realized that was not sustainable. I wasn't really solving the problem. So that was why I started, doing home visits. I'll follow these children to their homes. And that was when I really realized the real problem. Most of these families, the women were the ones, standing in. They were the ones, taking up the responsibility for family care. But over 60% of these women lacked the formal education. They lacked the skill, to take care of the basic needs of these children. Hence, they were showing up to school in my class hungry, without notebooks, without pens, nothing. So I saw firsthand how children could fail academically, not because they were not brilliant, but because of the socioeconomic issues going on, back home. So that's how we realized that if we're going to do anything or solve this problem, we needed to start from the woman. So that was when we started women empowerment, and that's what we're doing right now.
Wow. No, this is so inspiring, Agnes. I just love what you say, that I wasn't just seeing these students. I was seeing myself 16 years ago. What a powerful, powerful story. I'll come back to you later on to hear a bit more about what you're doing at Project Mend. But I'm coming to you, Joseph, now. Same questions. What really inspired you to start a health and economic development strategy organization?
Thank you so much. So my name is Joseph Ojuki. And I'm from Kenya, a small town in Kisumu. So I'm a social development worker with experience in health, gender, and youth programming of over 10 years. So just whatever inspired me to be able to start it. I want to take you back into the years. I'm the last born in a family of 8. There we have 5 sisters and 3 boys. So in my community, the community where I grew up in a sugar belt area where sugarcane plantation is the only means of economy for our village. So you find that the community I grew up in, I realized that my heart used to be able to be troubled when I see injustice happened. So you find that within that particular area where I grew up in, there was a lot of women being defiled, young children being defiled within that particular area, and even there was a lot of domestic violence within that area that I was coming from. And the level of poverty within that particular area was high. Because you find that sugarcane plantation, someone has to wait for 18 months for you to harvest and get that money. So we found that there was a lot of school dropout. There was a lot of drug and substance abuse among young people because of stress. There was a lot of poverty, and there was a lot of defilement cases within that particular area. Mm-hmm. And one thing now that drove me close was one particular incident, because I used to see these particular things happening within my community, mm-hmm. where young girls could be able to trade for with their body to be able to get some services like sanitary pads, quality fish for their businesses, and other things. Mm-hmm. So one particular incident that caught my attention was when this thing knocked closer to me, closer to my family, mm-hmm. where my aunt was, my uncle kept on violating the rights of my aunt, and kept on beating my aunt with one thing, one phrase that hasn't been able to leave my particular, my brains up to now, is that whenever he was able to beat my aunt, he could be able to tell my aunt that I'm beating you and there's nothing you can be able to do. But the community proved me right, because the community remained silent. There was nothing that was happening. There was no one who was coming to our rescue. I was just a toddler by then that could not be able to do anything. Even if my mind and my heart were troubled, there was nothing I could be able to do. So from this, when I was about 8 years old, this incident now came again. This was now a third one, when my aunt was able to help me. She gave me money to be able to take me to an hospital when I got cut, a deep cut in my legs. And when I was taken to the hospital, my aunt had used the money that was left for food. because she tried reaching out to the uncle, and the uncle could not be able to answer the call at that particular time. And when the uncle was able to come back home, then it was messy, I tell you. He was able to beat my aunt beyond recognition. So I was able now to leave that particular environment and move back to our home. But that did not leave my mind, because I said I have to be able to change. If the community cannot be able to, they're remaining silent because no one is coming out to help them, but me, I have to. So from that, I went, and with that mission, I said that I want to start something that can be able to change this narrative. So I went to volunteer for an organization known as Organization of African Youth, where within the community where I was working in again, there were still issues. So I could be able to see girls trading for their body to be able to get quality fish within the beaches. I could be able to see young girls trading their body to be able to get sanitary pads, and that really troubled me. So I decided to be able to come up with young, like-minded people and said, we want to change this community. We want to be able to start an initiative that can be able to amplify the voices. Because when I was able to try get the perspective of the community, it was that no one knew what they could be able to do. Even my aunt, if I was trying to talk to her, she did not know the next step to be able to take, because she said that is her husband. And the culture has it that husband has all the rights. So that is one thing that really drove me. So in 2020,
so what I love about what you're saying, and I can't wait very soon to hear a bit more about what that is made you think. But again, that's another inspiring story, Joseph, that how you just from such a young age as a toddler, you knew and you had it in you that you wanted to help women. I'm going to pause you there for now, because we'll come and then hear more about how you then started HEADSO in 2022. So I'll come back to you. So for this first round of questions, last but not least, I'm coming to you, Bernice, from Munondida Foundation. I think same question. Could you just introduce yourself again and share a bit more about what led you to start Munondida Foundation?
Thank you very much, Dr. Ongai, and thank you for the opportunity. Greetings to you all. My name is Bernice Bore, and I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm the founder of Munondida Foundation. Losing hope is the most expensive thing to do in life, and I cannot imagine any human being without any hope. From a young age, whilst I was still in school, I got pregnant, and getting pregnant at an early age, most cases and most communities in Africa, or rather should I say around the world, most people then tend to reject you because of what would have happened, which will be unexpected. So as I got pregnant early, I got rejected, and I lost so much hope. I was rejected from family, relatives, church, friends, school, you name it. The people that I thought were closer to me rejected me because of this situation. So being rejected and losing hope altogether, for me, I then felt that and thought that I could then give a voice to the voiceless. Losing hope at that time made me then fail in anything else that I wanted to try and do. I failed being a mother. I failed whilst, before even I failed being a mother. Firstly, in life, let me take you a little bit back. Earlier on, I had failed my O levels. I failed my O levels. I failed as a girl, as an individual. I failed my parents. I became pregnant. Whilst I was pregnant, I failed, and there was a lot of things that was happening that time. There are so many layers that took me to register this organization, but I'll try to keep it short. So after giving birth, I failed as a mother as well. I failed as a daughter to my parents. I also trusted the people that I was married into, but then at the end of the day, I felt them and also they felt me. After all that, it then took me to a point where I was so depressed, and I then became addicted with drug abuse, substance abuse. I did sex trading, you name it. There is nothing that I went through that you want to think of. I went through GBV, gender based violence, and for me, there was no way out. There was no way out. And I got into my own wilderness for close to 10 years. So later on, after I think the 11th year, I met a woman who had an organization, an NGO by the name Tine. The organization is As I Am. So Tine was young as I am, as I was that time. And she gave me hope because I shared with her my story, and she ignited light in me to say, you need to say out your story, because after all that I did, I came to realize that there's life, there's more, there's power. I can turn my pain into power. So then Tina made actually amplified that and helped me, gave me light, gave me hope. So I then turned my pain into power. I then told myself that I would definitely give a second chance to the voiceless. I'll give a voice to the voiceless. And no matter what I went through, no matter being heartbroken, no matter being crushed, being uneducated, being traumatized, at that time I told myself I would definitely make sure that every heartbroken girl, I'll be there for them. So I then turned my 10 years, my own wilderness experience, devastating moment, season, I compressed it into 1 year of an empowerment program to the teen mothers and pregnant teens. And also, as an organization, our main aim is to reduce the teenage pregnancies by training girls and boys both in schools in my country.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. Oh, these are incredible stories of power. I think from hearing from Agnes, who started an organization that she realized that the issue wasn't to do with children being hungry, but the issue was to do with the systemic injustices that allow women not to work. And I think it was powerful to hear how they were empowering these women and girls, these women, to be able to fend for their children. And I also loved hearing Joseph's story on how from a young age, his heart became broken around how come we're allowing these girls to trade themselves, to trade their bodies, and not to have a voice or human rights just because they cannot fend for themselves. I just love how that has been the basis of MEND. And then last but not least, also, Bernice, your story is also very powerful on how you turned your lemon into lemonade. Sorry, how you turned your story into lemonade, how you went through all this. And I've heard you say before, you told yourself that not under my watch, I'll not let any other teenage mom go through what I've gone through. This is so powerful. So what I'm going to ask for the next round of questions, I'm going to start with Agnes. I'll come to you, Bernice, and then I'll end you with you, Joseph. So what are some of the key successes you are proud of? I just loved hearing all the things that you guys are doing. But if you were to share one or two successes that you are proud of, what are they? And is there any particular story from your community that illustrates that? So starting with you, Agnes, and then I'll come to you, Bernice, and then end with you, Joseph. And if you can talk for less than 3 minutes, that would be awesome. Each.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So apart from the fact that we've been able to so far empower 63 women in this, I would just like to talk about one person that I'm super, super proud of. That's Mrs. Adikombi. So at the point where we met her in 2022, she's a widow with 3 kids, she was just there. So what she does is she cleans toilets and she washes clothes. So she would meet you in the community. Okay, bring out your dirty clothes, I'll help you wash them. so you give me whatever you can afford. So I'll use that to take care of my children. Or you have a toilet for her, she can help you to wash it. So that's what she does. So she goes door to door like that. At the time when we met her, she was really excited about learning a trade, learning especially bag making. So we enrolled her. So we got facilitators and all that, and she did that for months, and then she got mastery of the bag making. So after she was done, learning how to make the bags, we figured out that she would need tools, so she could, start her own stuff. So we got her a sewing machine. So at this point, she is a skilled bag maker, starting her own business as a, bag maker, and having our own sewing machine. And what we now decided to do after that was to say, okay, how do we get her to be busier, than she even thinks? So we put her stuff, her wares on our e-commerce platforms, right? So with that, we get people saying, oh, we need 50 of that. Oh, we need 20 of that, and she gets to make this thing. So, with that, she's able to make enough income to take care of her children. So at the point where we met her, she was actually about to withdraw her first son, Dari, from school. But that didn't happen, seeing that we were able to, help her start to make sustainable income for herself. So with that story, anytime I look at Mrs. Adekombi, I'm so, so proud.
Thank you so much, Agnes, about the story for Mrs. Adekombi. So if I stay with you now, so what problem are you trying to solve as Project Mend? I know you've given us a powerful story of Mrs. Adekombi, but what problem are you trying to solve by investing in them in the way that you are?
Okay, so we realized that women in that community, right, most of them were not educated. Mm-hmm. And, you realize that in most of the families, these women were the ones taking up the responsibility for family care, meaning they were breadwinners. Now, but as breadwinners, you realize that they had no skill, they had no formal education as well. So that limited the level of, money they could make. Their earning capacity was literally just limited because of that. So the idea is for us to help solve the problem of this lack of opportunities that comes from the fact that they have no skill to monetize. So that's the problem we're trying to solve.
Thank you so much, Agnes. I hope if you are listening, you're inspired as I am today. It's just brilliant. So coming to you, Bernice. So same question again around what are some of the successes you're proud of as Munondida Foundation? And is there any particular story from your community that just illustrates some of the things you're most proud of?
Thank you very much. As Munondida Foundation, as also the founder, we have so many success stories, but one key success story is coming up and establishing a comprehensive program for the teen mothers to give them hope. So we're really proud that we've really impacted lives and we've weaved hope back into their lives. Our main story is probably this year. Let me talk about this year. We have managed to complete, the girls have managed to complete, we've got probably approximately 30 girls who graduated this year with our empowerment program, the completion of the empowerment program. And this empowerment program's got different topics, from mental issues, mental health issues, from counseling, financial literacy, goal setting. So for us as an organization, we are really thrilled that we have managed to impact 30 girls in 2024, changing their whole lives. And from the 30 girls, our main key success stories is giving hope to them. Especially, we've got 3 girls who graduated recently through a program, a digital skill program. They graduated with IT support and cybersecurity. And Doc, just to be clear, these girls were rejected. When we took them in a year ago, that was in 2023, they were so devastated, they were broken, they were uneducated. But now they have been empowered. They are now educated. They are so confident. And as a hope weaver, as a hope renewer, they now stand tall to say that thank you so much, Munonjida Foundation. You have brought back hope in us. And we've got a couple of the young teen mothers, the young women that are working in different places, in saloons. Other girls have gone through life skills. Some of them, they're chefs, they're assistants of chefs in my country. And then we've got the other girls who graduated with their diploma. Next year, they're actually going for their degree in IT support, the other one in cybersecurity. And mainly, those are our key successes.
No, thank you so much again for such powerful stories illustrating that when someone sees you, things happen. I know I've heard you speak again about like some of those girls that, you know, thought there was nothing possible, that did not even know how to cook or how to feed their children. And I love how some of your programs are doing just that for them. To Joseph, like that same question around what are some of the stories of what's inspiring you in the work you're doing, and what are you most excited about, and what are some of the stories, one or two, that are illustrating the things you're excited about?
Thank you so much. So, one of the things that really keep us going is the kind of change that we're seeing within the community. Is the kind of justice we are seeing within the community. Being happy to be able to see girls empowered, to be able to speak against all these voices themselves, and they're able to make reports, they're able to start their own initiatives. So one of the things, one of the key achievements, we have a number of achievements, but one of the key achievements that if I look at and I smile, is through our economic integration of teenage mothers project. We've been able to train up to 568 teenage mothers, young women, and persons with disability, just building their skills on entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and other skills such as tailoring, bead making, crocheting, and also building their capacity on gender-based violence referral pathway, and also providing a platform where they can be able to have wellness to cater for their mental health. So this is something that has really touched us as an organization, seeing that these young girls have been able to form their working group. Like right now, we have 11 active support groups that are formed from the teen moms that we had trained. And they're actually now in the process of registering some of them as women-led groups. And that is something that is now enhancing sustainability, because they are now advocating themselves within, we've given the power, we've been able to achieve whatever you are saying, that we are coming as an organization to amplify the voices of these particular girls. So we are looking at this in terms of now we've been able to amplify their voices. Now they're picking it up from the community, and they're now influencing more and bringing more on board. Because, you know, there are limited resources, but now when we have a number of girls coming up within the community to be able to advocate themselves, they are running their own initiative within that particular community. That is the community that I envision when we are forming EDSA, because they're now tackling these particular injustices themselves, while also we are also giving them mentorship as an organization to be able to see. And also another thing that we are happy about is just seeing that we've been able to establish an economic empowerment hub. However small it is, we've been able to start with 5 tailoring machines and a few computers. And we are seeing progress where young people are now coming on board to be able to be trained on tailoring, and also just providing that safe space and where we can be able to have wellness session so that at least their mental health is also taken care of. So one of the personal stories that I see, I know it might be long, but I can be able to cut it short, is this particular of a teen mom who just came from nowhere, being a teen mom of 2, growing up with a grandmom, but now being one of the greatest entrepreneurs within the rural sub-counties where we've been working in. That is something that if I look back at it, because whenever we first there going for field work, she'll be able to call us. Sometimes she's able to buy us a soda because you're happy about that particular progress. And that is something that if I see such, I am really enlightened and say that I need to go. Even as a founder, there's a lot of things that are coming. But when I think of the change, it keeps me going and saying I cannot be able to quit right now. This is the challenge that we said, and we'll be able to. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Joseph. I think what I like in particular about what you're sharing is how the sustainability piece. There's a saying that, if you give a man a fish, you make them dependent for life. But if you teach them to fish, you are like setting them free for life. So I like the fact that these young girls, these teenage moms, are also now being able to be the change they need in the world. I love the idea of them setting up and registering their own community-based organization. I think that's powerful. And I know sometimes we can think, great, there are these amazing stories, and we look at life at an asset-based perspective, but there's also another side. I know that sometimes you guys have so many challenges. If we want to start talking about them now, we could spend forever, but I know we won't go down that route. So, but when you think about some of the challenges you're experiencing, how are you collaborating with, with organizations like AFWAG to address them and amplify your impact? So I'll come again. When you think about some of the challenges you're experiencing, how does being part of such networks like the Alliance and others you might be a part of, how are they helping you address those challenges and amplifying your impact? So I'm going to start with you, Joseph, then I'll come to you, Bernice, and then I'll end with you, Agnes.
Okay, thank you so much. One of the things that whenever we think about these challenges, that there are a number of challenges that if we start mentioning now, we cannot be able to finish today. But one of the things that we're seeing is the power of partnership, the power of local resource mobilization. That is something that we are leveraging as an organization because we are young. We were basically registered in 2021. So we're still young and still just, we are babies who are trying to be able to move, who are trying to be able to look for foundations to be able to build our own foundation as an organization. So one thing that I want to say is that networks like AFWAG, we are leveraging on this particular network to be able to amplify our voices at the national, regional, and even the international spaces. Like now, giving us this platform to be able to share our work, that is one thing that that is an opportunity to be able to share, and the entire community, the entire world will be able to see that this is something that we are doing within this particular area. Then another thing is the aspect of AFWAG giving capacity building and just having within their website where we can be able to get resources that we need for our organization development. That is the ODSS platform. They're able to give us guidance on what we need to do, and also just to be able to amplify our advocacy processes. So this is something that we might not be able to say that even if it's not, it is not only money is a resource to an organization, but even the knowledge that these particular networks are bringing, the platforms that they are creating, like this one that we are now using and utilizing, them having a website with different items, different resources that we can be able to get, and we can be able to drive that particular change. That is one thing that we see, and we solve these particular issues within our organizations. And we leverage on each other's efforts, each other's the little, because it's in Kenya, we say haba na haba ujaza kibaba, like small, we'll be able to fill the bucket. Thank you.
So it's haba anaba. Okay, I'll try that next time. All right, thank you. So same question to you, Bernice.
All right, thank you. So AFWAG has been, the support from AFWAG has been very impactful and life-changing in terms of our organization, and it's really crucial. Like my brother was saying here, in terms of capacity building, knowledge on how to run an organization. I've attended a training in Newlands in my country, which was hosted by AFWAG, and we learned a lot from what other organizations are doing. And as an organization, we could actually identify gaps and areas we need to improve. It was really easy because AFWAG had it all, but we had come from a long way, 8 years of trying to then collaborate, partner with other organizations. But along the way, you would get and find people that are not authentic and that are not wholehearted in terms of impact and impacting lives. So I'm grateful for AFWAG. Then when we partnered with the network, it helped us to then come in relations and partner with other local organizations and regional organizations as well. So I'm grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Apart from one other thing that I'm learning and I've learned, which we're sharing as organizations amongst ourselves, I could mention Konashe organization, who is instilling and putting in knowledge on how to apply grant applications and how to apply grants, and us having a good team as Munondida Foundation. It's actually one of our strengths. It's an area of strength whereby we've got a good team of interns, employees, full-time, part-time, and volunteers. Mm-hmm. But then the difficult part was then to make them stay, to make them remain motivated. But you find out sitting down with other leaders, it's been helpful on how to then maintain the motivation, how to make them stay. Yes, so I would like to thank AFWAG for helping us and partnering with us so that we can amplify more impact and empower the teen mothers.
Thank you so much again, Bernice. Last but not least, Agnes, I know you are currently part of the Africa Ubuntu Leadership Fellowship for Under 35s. How has being part of this fellowship and being part of the broader network helped you to kind of move towards achieving your intended impact?
Wow, I'm really excited to see what AFWAG is doing in other organizations. Wow, well done. So, social entrepreneurship is and can be a very lonely journey, especially for, females. Yes, can be a very lonely journey. And I feel really excited about the HIC platform, seeing sisters, doing amazing work in their different countries, come together and just talk about the issues, talk about the challenges, encourage each other. That alone for me is mind blowing, right? So I feel really supported by that community. And then again, one other thing that this community is doing is the fact that you get paired with a mentor. A one-on-one mentor. Mm-hmm. I cannot stress how amazing that is. I've been able to get to speak to my mentor, and I can just, I cannot explain how much of a hand-holding structure that is. That is exciting, so for me, because before joining this, sometimes you just sit on your own and you're like, nobody cares about me. But with this platform, I look forward to having my sisters around when we are having those sessions, because we have breakout sessions, where we get to actually talk one-on-one, what's really happening, what's going on. We know the work that you do. So how is it going? We're already planning partnerships. So I'm really excited about this community. And then again, the mentorship platform is amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you so much, Agnes. It's inspiring to hear that all the efforts that we've tried to put in this incubator are paying off. I think one of the pieces of research we did was that we learned that 95% of social entrepreneurs that are in the gender space close within the first 5 years because of leadership issues. So it's inspiring to just hear you do what you're doing and getting the support that you need from your fellow peers, etc. So I know there are so many things that we could be talking about because it's always inspiring hearing all the different stories. If someone is listening now and they're thinking, gosh, I'm inspired, I don't know what to do. How can I help? What else can I do? Where are the opportunities for growth, etc.? Anything. I would love to hear what would be your parting words to anyone who's listening today on this Giving Tuesday. What's the final parting words that you might want to give them? I will start with you, Agnes. I'll come to you, Bernice, and then I'll end you with you, Joseph. What would be your final remarks to anyone who might be listening today?
Okay, so my final words would be, nobody's coming. You're the Messiah. You're there for a reason. You're in that space that you are for a reason. That's one thing that my work in the social impact space has taught me. And I like to put it out there because that will make you, just take on this sense of responsibility that at the end of the day, nobody is coming to help us solve the problem on our continent. We have to stand up and start doing the work. That is the only way we can solve any problem. So yes, that's my parting words. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No one is coming. I think that's going to be my tag word going forward. Thanks, Bernice.
Sorry about that. Like what I said and mentioned earlier on, the most expensive thing one can do is losing hope. So I would like to encourage us all to be a hope weaver, to give hope to anyone. It might be anyone who has lost hope in anyhow. So let's be hope renewers. Let's be hope weavers. Also, as organization, let's encourage each other to invest in education. It all depends what you're doing. But if you fall and have objectives and pillars, which are education, let's encourage each other to invest in education, in economic empowerment programs in our participants so that we break the cycle of poverty. Also, I encourage to change societal attitudes by working together and doing this together. We'll definitely create a brighter future. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernice. Last but not least, Joseph. What would be your final parting words to anyone listening today?
So my parting word is let us all work together to be able to ensure that our communities are safe and that let us be able to invest in supporting women-led businesses through mentorship and also just capacity building so that we can be able to create a world where we are not seeing women to be dependent, but they need to be independent and they have a voice and their voices can be able to be heard whenever they speak. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And this is powerful. So before I call my colleague, Bridget, to just kind of close us, just give us the closing remarks. I think for one, I'm feeling so inspired by all the wonderful stories. And sometimes, when people hear about progress or growth on the continent, it's always about this is missing, this is lacking. But when we hear the powerful stories from this panel, you can tell there's a lot of asset-based. Almost everyone on this panel turned their lemons into lemonade. They are the solution makers. They are the change makers. And like we keep saying, like if I use Agnes' words, that being a social entrepreneur can be a lonely space. There's so much overwhelm. Each one of these is struggling and grappling with, how do I find the work? How do I continue to run the organization that I run in the way I do? But I'm sure anyone listening here today will see that we will do everything in our power to make sure that the likes of the Agneses, the Josephs, and the Bernice will keep on getting the support they need. And I think for me, this is what inspires me about the work we do at Upwork, that, as a network, you heard so many stories from the panel on how they're coming together to support each other, as an ecosystem. We do a lot of work under what we call movement building. And also on the leadership front, we've heard from Agnes, who's currently on one of our fellowship programs called the Africa Early Stage Incubator, how they're learning from each other, with each other, and also learning from faculty and mentors. And we are excited and hopeful for this work to continue to go. And we've heard from Joseph how almost getting access to information and resources will further the work that they do so that they can inspire and get on with the work they do. So once again, to the panelists, thank you so much for allowing me to just listen and be inspired over the last couple of minutes. So I'm going to hand over now the time to my colleague Bridget, who's just going to close us off.
What an absolutely incredible session. I'm actually leaving this space with so much gratitude to you, Joseph, Agnes, and Bernice, for your resilience and transformative leadership. So today we've had the privilege of hearing inspiring stories from leaders across Africa who are shaping the future of gender equality. These are not just individual narratives, but they're threads of a powerful movement driving meaningful change, one community at a time. But for this journey toward equity and opportunity to achieve its full potential, it needs supporters like you. There are countless ways to be part of this movement. You could attend future events, amplify these leaders' voices by sharing their stories, or champion gender equality within your own circles. Every action counts, whether it's engaging in a discussion, spreading our mission, or standing in solidarity with these remarkable leaders you've encountered today. Together, we can create a lasting impact. We invite you to walk alongside us, strengthening this movement and building a future where every woman and girl has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you for being here today. We're deeply grateful to have you with us on this journey.